Again, let me thank the media for coming to be with us this afternoon. Today, a special meeting of the Jefferson County Public School Board has been called to act on a recommendation for approval of Jcps transportation plan for the 224-225 school year. The meeting was called and will be held on a day that most African American churches are having prayer meeting. We're glad Reverend's with us this morning.
Yeah. Took my lunch break to go.
The meeting is also being scheduled on a day before a scheduled racial equality and analyst protocol, a REAP, meeting to review the transportation plan, which was presented on March 26th. The meeting is also being held with some JCPS board members publicly acknowledging the yet undisclosed plan as equitable. The board is proceeding knowing it has not received and responded to community input. None of the community has had an opportunity to examine or give input. The Jefferson County School District is in crisis. It is suffering from a crisis in leadership. It is suffering from a crisis in trust and truth-telling. It is suffering from a crisis in competence and compassion. And Black, brown, and economically deprived students are the victims. An independent audit of last fall's disastrous opening day of school was released to the public 2 weeks ago. It painted a clear picture of what went wrong and why. Poor planning and execution, poor communication across departments, and a workplace culture that stifled ideas. It said that the school board placed too much trust in the superintendent, accepting information he provided with little questioning before voting on last year's transportation plan. The district continues to deal with the same issues today that it encountered last fall. The report also pushed back against a new plan that would end transportation for 16,000 Black, brown, and poor students who attend magnet and traditional schools, further segregating the district. Instead of using the report to move forward, the administration responded with a vitriolic attack on the author. That behavior has played right into the hands of legislators in Brunswick who are already looking for a reason to break up JCPS. Within 2 days of the school board meeting, they approved a resolution authorizing a study of the district. Change is needed, but not in the form of dismantling a school district once nationally recognized as a model for integration. The district needs a change in leadership. Therefore, the Louisville Branch NAACP is calling for the resignation or dismissal of Superintendent Marty, Polio. The branch is also calling for the resignation of school board members who support any plan to end transportation for any students. The NAACP is not taking this decision lightly. The NAACP acknowledges the district faces tough choices, but it also refuses to accept decisions that deprive our children of educational opportunities they deserve. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Really quick, may I just have your name and title? And the second question is, there's been a lot going on. This decision to call for resignation of board members and Marty Polio. Can you talk about how this would impact, if it does go through, how it would benefit people you represent or you're looking out for?
My name is Raul Cunningham, and I'm president of the Louisville Branch NAACP, and with me is Mr. Raymond Burst, first vice president of the Louisville Branch NAACP. Repeat that question for me again.
Calling for the resignation of the board members and Marty Polio, how do you think that will help change or impact for betterment for next year?
I think that one, the audit report gave ample reason to call for the resignation. We realize that it will interrupt some activity, but we feel that it is necessary for the district to move forward.
What do you think should be done to correct what's been done?
Right.
Well, I think where we are, the audit report was very clear in terms of where the shortcomings were. It even suggested ideas or things that needed to be done in terms of making improvements. Part of the problem that was that JCPS decided to do too many things all at once as opposed to incrementally, and as a result, part of the problem that we saw last fall was created by JCPS itself. So what we're expecting and looking for is at least leadership that it will respond to the recommendations that have been made as opposed to attacking the recommendations. And that's where we are.
So why call for this resignation now? Why not right after the audit? Why is this coming now?
Well, the reason we're here today is, okay, the reason we're here today is that there's been a special call board meeting for this evening to in fact vote on a transportation plan, which at this point, we don't even know what the plan is. And instead of responding and working with the community, what they have done is attack the community. And the setup for this evening is there will be no public input at all. No public will not be able to speak. They'll be foreclosed from participating. And we think that that is in fact a direct violation of the trust that the community has or should have in our school system. And right now we have no confidence, particularly in the superintendent, and in fact 3 board members who called a special meeting on a special night in the African American community.
So there's not been new transparency
No.
with them at all.
That's what we're aware of.
And the thing about it is that the meeting for tonight, under statute, you can call a special meeting with 24-hour notice. The last meeting, which occurred on March 26th, tabled a recommendation to be voted on next week. So we don't understand why the rush for tonight, why it was done all of a sudden in terms of doing that. And what it's all suspect in terms of, let's have a meeting where the public can't participate. Let's have a meeting where we can do what we want to do in terms of the confines of that. What we're looking for is a school district with school leadership that puts the education of all kids, and particularly black, brown, and poor kids, at the forefront. I have not heard specifically, but I've been told that several board members have acknowledged that the plan that they're looking at is inequitable. If it's inequitable, why are you rushing to vote for an inequitable plan that will end up impacting our community and our kids? If you go back to the choice plans, which was implemented a year ago, this organization reluctantly bought into what was being done with some expectations. If we had known then that they were coming back with what we now see, we would have endorsed that plan.
Has the district broken the trust of the NAACP?
Clearly, emphatically. And in fact, one of our members gave me some choice words to read today in terms of what it is, but I'm not going to do that.
So it sounds like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, do you think that you're calling for the resignation of Polio today and some board members, but the decision to have that specially called meeting today, that was a board decision.
Mm-hmm.
So are you suggesting that you believe that Polio may have had a part in moving this forward in this quick way?
Let's go back to, after the board meeting on March 26th, two things happened. Number one was that I can't give his name, issued a 4-page letter talking about what was wrong with the audit as opposed to what we're going to do to fix it. That's number one. The second thing that was done was they started attacking, they brought in the company who had put together the plan that was a fiasco to attack the audit as well. And those kinds of things do not happen without leadership bringing and responding. And the 4-page letter was written by a direct report to Superintendent Polio. And from my perspective, NAACP perspective, leadership would have responded to what the community said in that meeting, make modifications and changes, work with the community to come up with a workable solution. We did that. They chose not to do that. The board didn't choose not to do that. The superintendent chose not to do that. And as a result of that, 3 board members have now called for a meeting. My question is, and I think you all should be asking, is whether they violated any of the open meetings laws in terms of their coordination of getting together for the meeting on Wednesday tonight.
How frustrating is it to you personally, day in, day out, having to struggle with no communication, no transparency?
Go ahead.
It is very, very difficult. Fortunately for this community, Raul and I are both retired, so we have nothing to do all day but to wait for Jcps to do some crazy stuff. In all honesty, what it does, it makes it very frustrating. It makes your days very, I just got back from spring break with my grandkids thinking I was going to have a great day. Raul called me yesterday and said, you're not going to get any rest because this and that. So now we're in another battle in terms of doing that. If you look over the last, 60 days or 58 days, with things happening in Frankfurt with the legislation, things that are happening here in Louisville, it's created a very stressful environment in terms of where it is. And you begin to question, where is our community going? What's going to happen to our community? But more importantly, we want to know, what about the education of the young people in this community in its future?
So if you think they had enough bus drivers, because they say the busing plan is the big deal, if they had enough bus drivers, do you think this plan would be good or it wouldn't matter?
Well, we don't know what the plan is. And it would be difficult to grade the plan or evaluate the plan until we see what the plan is.
And the notice said that they're going to vote on a plan this evening. The only plan we know about was the one that was there on March 26th. They had the 3 options, and they were talking about option 1. So we don't know if they made modifications to it or changes to it. And we think it's premature to vote on something that the community has not seen. And real leadership would know the community needs to be informed. The community needs to know what is going on in terms of what's happening there. And Raul mentioned we had a minister in the room. To do it on a Wednesday night,
Right.
where, if you're in the African American community, that's prayer meeting night. It's a church night. Our people, most of them will be in church at prayer meeting tonight, but you schedule it on Wednesday night in direct conflict. And it raises a question. Do you respect us, or did you do it as a way of disrespecting us?
So if they take these 16,000 brown, black, and poor students, and do away with the busing for them, what's that gonna do?
How are those kids gonna get to school? What about the parents? When, prior to a couple of weeks ago, most of you were here with us when we had a press conference and had parents with us. The parents spoke of the hardships that abolishing busing for their kids will produce on the entire family. I don't see how a district can eliminate busing or eliminate transportation for 16,000 students. And also, I can't see how some of the school board members will vote in favor of eliminating transportation when they have two high schools in their district. Both of them are magnet schools. And it is not the most affluent district in the system.
You know, I think the other thing as it relates to this, when the choice plan was put in place, one of the components dealt with magnet schools, making magnet schools more available across the district to a diverse group of students. If you're not going to provide transportation to those magnet schools, what you're basically saying is the things that we said in the choice plan we really didn't mean, and therefore we're going to make certain that all kids in our community do not get the opportunity to go to some of the best schools in our district, and that's a disservice to the students, to the parents, and to this community.
Are there any changes that they could vote on tonight that would help make this better for you?
You know, without knowing what they're specifically going to put in there, I'm not certain that there are anything that they could vote on tonight that would make this more palatable to us. I think what we would like to see, or at least I would like to see, is more information and data around what it is they're proposing to do, how it's going to impact students in terms of where they're going to go, and do it in a phased manner. If you go back to the audit report, the auditor suggested that Jcps phase things in as opposed to doing all things in one fell swoop.
So what gradual changes would you like to see then to get things back on track?
Well, I think one is to make certain that they don't eliminate busing for magnet school students. Is to look at, are there other ways of doing that? I think if you looked at, the Urban League gave them a whole list of items or suggestions in terms of what would be. Those were all dismissed out of hand without any consideration of going in and looking at them. So, rather than working with the community, Jcps, or at least its leadership, has taken the role of, we know what's best, we're going to do it no matter what the consequences.
I spoke with one board member last night and asked her, why, if she didn't, we didn't have the plan yet. They weren't online. They're online now. I think they posted around noon or so. It's like a 9-page PowerPoint. And I asked her, why she thinks that, or if she thinks it's a problem that the community has not had a chance to review the plan. And she said essentially no, because she said it's not the type of plan where decision where you take the 3 plans and you present them to the community and say which one do you like best. She said it's a decision where they have to rely on what their transportation department is telling her. I guess how would you respond to that? That take.
Well, I guess the answer to that is go back to the audit report. Their transportation department was involved in the original plan that was the fiasco that took place. And if the transportation department has made those changes, why are we still today experiencing some of the same problems from last fall? I think that they owe an obligation to the community, for the community to fully understand what it is they're doing, what are all of the levers that they're pulling to make certain things happen. That hasn't been done. What you get is short shrift, terse answers, and not the full comprehensive review of what is taking place. They take, they assume that we as citizens in this community can't read, can't understand things, and we can't think through some real issues. But I think that the audit report said, why not phase in over time what you're doing if the issue is the number of bus drivers? A transportation department should know that and understand that. So rather than working with the recommendations that the auditor made, the transportation department, its director, wrote a 4-page letter attacking all the things that were there. So if all those things that were in the audit report were in fact incorrect and untrue, then why did we have the fiasco last fall? I think you need to ask them that question.
And I think in addition, 3 of the board members will be up for election this year. The NAACP is nonpartisan. However, they will have to answer, or they should answer, to the voters in their district. Is that it?
We will be there tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But you can't talk. You
Right.
can just go and listen.
Right, that's exactly it.
But we're gonna be there. And if you have any questions after the meeting, we'll be glad to.
New student, the choice plan. They gave us a PowerPoint. And we looked at that PowerPoint, and there were no details in that PowerPoint in what terms of what the plan was. We took the position that we needed a written plan of what you were proposing to do. You just said they posted, an 8 or 9 page PowerPoint. PowerPoint is not a plan.